What's up, good people? This is your boy Brandon, and welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Boxing. I got my man Reg here with us today, and tonight we are going to talk about not the boogeyman, not the boogeyman at 147, the guy who was supposed to be on skates and running from the boogeyman at 147, yes. the one, the only Devin Haney. What you got to say, Reg?
Devin the Dream Haney, he tried to tell everyone who would listen. Not many people listened. And he had to go out and walk the walk. He talked the talk, but my man had to go out and walk the walk, and walk the walk he did. Now, I'm a Georgia boy, and I represent Augusta, Georgia, and my boy is from Georgia. So, there was a little part of me that wanted to be a better fight, maybe a closer fight where a rematch would be demanded. But I was still going for Devin in this particular fight just because of everything he's had to deal with since the Ryan Garcia debacle, and then coming back with that fight and fighting in Times Square, and they're calling him Road Runner. And then now he had a chance to redeem himself. So I was rooting for that overall.
Right. Now, what are your initial thoughts on what you saw transpire from round one until the end?
Well, what I liked about the fight last night is, the way it started, he did catch Devin with the same left hand, and then I saw Dev go back, so I was like, oh, here we go again. Come on, Dev. And then when we got to the second round, and then he caught him coming in, just as you said, Sergio said, I did think that he was going to put him away. He was trying to put him away, unlike what he did in the Regis fight. He just sort of, he didn't really go for the knockout. I think he thought maybe the opportunity was going to come again, but it never did, so he just outboxed him. But in this situation, he was ready to make a statement. And I agree. I think that had he went to the body, then he was going to fall. And it was good to see him reestablish his jab, because we know Dev as that fighter that has that elite jab, and it works. So I did get a bit worried when he started to abandon it, because maybe he thought that, the fight is getting a little boring. But when he abandoned that jab, he did let him back into the fight. And but I think that if he would have just continued to, I call it that winky right jab, if he would have just continued to just work off that jab like Winky used to do, then I think that even with that, he could have got him out of there, because Norman would have gotten discouraged, I think, and then just maybe got desperate. And then he could have caught him with something to the body, and then went back upstairs and just finished what he started. But overall, I gave Devin an A+ for the fight. Not only for the fight he fought, but what he had to deal with going through the turnbuckles and actually coming out victorious.
Right. There was a lot of dirty fighting that we like to call, in dirty boxing that we in MMA, with the forearms into the neck, and a lot of hitting behind the head that for some reason the ref was only warning Dev about until the latter parts of the latter rounds. He was then starting to warn Norman about that, but Dev stayed composed. And that's the thing about him, man, that people don't give him a lot of credit for, is that he's not ducking anybody, and he also, no matter what happens in the squared circle, he gets in there and he has heart.
Yep, he handles his business. I said that with the Andy Garcia fight. I was like, why aren't Dev and his father talking about the fact that not only did Ryan get caught cheating, that he caught him with that left hand, but Dev got back up and fought to the end. It's like, that's a victory. It's not like you got caught cheating, you got caught catching him several times, and you still couldn't put him away. That's a testament to Dev and what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, he's got heart, man. And you know, regardless of what the optics of that were, and that's what people are latching on to. The casuals are latching on to the fact that, oh, Ryan dropped him with that left hook, and then he came out and he got caught in the first round and he started stumbling back. But what did he do after that? That's the testament to his character and the heart that he has, as he stayed in there. He could have easily taken a knee and decided not to continue, like somebody else we know.
Yep, easily.
You know, from that phantom liver shot. I won't say the phantom liver shot, but it just did. I've seen liver shots before. B-Hop with De La Hoya.
I was just about to say it had a little De La Hoya-esque to it.
Yeah.
But we've seen liver shots where, you know, they've been debilitating and you couldn't get up, right? Where you're like on the floor and wincing in agony.
Pain, bent over.
Right. I mean, I've taken one in sparring and I was like, hey, all right, you know, that's it, you know. So if you've been in there and you've had enough rounds, chances are you've been caught by one or have delivered one, right? And it's not a good feeling. Now, on the flip, I don't want to get on a tangent and go left of what we're trying to talk about, but you know, folks like to talk about Dev, you know, how he looked in the Garcia fight, but they forget that it took Ryan cheating, and to your point, he couldn't even get him out of there cheating. And you say, it's a picogram, and what does it matter? Well, if it didn't matter, then why do you have to do it?
And another thing I give Devin credit for is moving up in weight,
Yes.
not doing a tune-up fight. Not saying that something is wrong with a tune-up fight. If you do a tune-up fight, that's no point against you. You're testing the weight, testing your strength against an opponent who fights that weight. So, you know, it's no knock. But he took the Errol Spence approach with the no tune-up, went straight for Norman, and now he's got him outside lined up, ready to challenge him at, you know, welterweight position and the welterweight weight class rather. And I think he looked very comfortable. He looked healthy. He looked strong. He looked confident. And I think now the only person that could defeat Devin is Devin. He pointed out something else that made me say, oh, this fight has been won already. When in an interview with one of the other boxing channels here on YouTube, he talked about arriving 7 or 9 days early, and Norman and his crew still hadn't got there yet to Saudi. Like they came a few days before.
Can't do that.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. He didn't do it again when he went up against George Kambosos when he had to travel. Both times he came early. They worked out there.
How many times? Twice.
Yeah, so Dev just gets a lot of kudos outside of the victory.
Right. And I don't want people to think that, you know, we are, you know, jock riding Dev, but I just get really sick of the narrative that, you know, Dev is not a real fighter, or he's not a you know.
And score knockouts, like that's the association behind it.
I just think that Dev gets a bad rep because of the Garcia fight, and had that not happened, right? Had it gone 12 without him getting dropped, and had Ryan won, and we found out post decision without all the drama of him getting dropped that Ryan cheated, what would be the you know the discourse then? What would be the you know the back and forth between the casuals and the people who really know boxing then?
Yep.
You know, and to your point, I mean, Ryan couldn't put him away, and Ryan then comes back his first fight after fighting Dev and loses to Rolly, and not only loses, gets dropped by Rolly,
and then was scared to engage and fight Rolly for the rest of the fight. But they didn't talk about that.
That phrase that you used, scared to engage. I'm so glad you said that, because post fight, I don't know if you watched the post fight, but Eddie Hearn and his fighter, I think his name is Connor Ben, sitting ringside, acting as though he's falling asleep on Eddie Hearn's shoulder, said that they don't want to fight Dev next because Dev is boring, and there was nothing that he did in the fight that warranted anybody wanting to pay to watch that.
But there's something he did do in the fight that would warrant them not to want to fight him, and it's box. And Conor sat there and said, there's nothing I could do with that jab.
By saying that, you're saying, okay, so these are my shortcomings. I don't want to have anything to do. I don't want to have that long night. It's not that he's boring. It's that he's a boxer.
Yep.
He understands the sweet science. Boxer first. You want to get in there, and yes, I get it. It's show business. It's entertainment. You got to entertain the fans. I get that part of it. Yes, I do. But it's also still a thinking man's game.
It is.
You don't become world champion in 3 weight divisions, 3 weight classes by just going in there and playing rock'em sock'em robots. You just don't.
I mean, the sport is likened to chess. And then another thing, Bill gave kudos to Virgil Hunter, the trainer, Roger Mayweather, the trainer, Floyd, and Floyd Sr. So if you're dealing with that pedigree, they're teaching you how to box.
Don't come in there, man, and just brawl and swing for the fences, because we've seen what happens to guys when they do that. We've seen it. And I think that what Conor wants to do, he wants to go in there and have exciting rock'em sock'em robot type fights, which is cool. And there's a market for that, especially with the younger generation, who are just now coming into watching boxing. They like that style of fighting, or brawling, as it were. But at the end of the day, these guys, they care about their mental health. From what, and I know that seems oxymoronic because you're a boxer and you care about your mental health, but they're not getting in there just to play Rocky. That's not what they're in there for. They're in there trying to get straps, but also trying to get bags, and also trying to get out of the sport with their faculties.
Yeah, so they can enjoy it.
And I think that Dev is still young. He's in his prime. And he's going to go in there and outsmart you first, and then pick you apart, and then make you look silly.
And if he gets the knockout, then cool.
Right. And if that's boring to you, then okay, that you're entitled to your opinion. But I think
the Devin fights.
Right. Watch somebody else, and you're entitled to do that. But don't say that he's not a fighter, or that his fights are quote unquote boring, just because you don't understand what it is that you're watching.
Yeah.
Who? I got a question for you. Who would you like to see Dev fight next?
Man, at 47, I mean, I would like to see him try to unify. Do what Earl did. You've got one now. Go and get belts.
Right.
Because it doesn't make sense for him to fight somebody without one, because you moved up and you snatched the belt right away from the boogeyman. Now, I could see if you started at one of the lesser guys that had a belt and worked your way up to him, but you went straight to the top.
Right.
Because Boots is no longer in the conversation, because he's moved up. But to answer your question, I'd like to see him go after anybody else that has a belt at 47, and make it happen, and do it one by one, because I think the belts are all split up right now. And it would be nice to see him go and collect one by one until he's undisputed at 47.
I'd like to see him fight Tio. Or if he could secure a fight with Manny Pacquiao would like that, so he can get his payday. Those are the 2 fights. I like Pacquiao first, even though I said Tio. I would rather, it's like, okay, you've proved yourself to an extent. Let's get a big money fight in, and I think that at 147, the money fight could be with Tio because of the jawing back and forth between the fathers and the fighters themselves, or definitely the Pacquiao fight, because that's built-in money already. So right. So those are the 2 fights I would like him to try to get, all that Conor Ben stuff, and even Mario. Like, no, let's go for a money grab, and then you decide what you want to do after that. Everybody else is doing it. Tank was just doing it. Like, and if you want to criticize me and not praise me for nothing, then criticize me, because now I'm about to do a money fight too.
Right. And you can't fault him if he decides to do that. No. You can't fault him. It goes back to what we said at the beginning. He never ducks anybody. So you can't criticize, or blame him for trying to go get a bag because he steps in with any and all challengers.
Yeah, but moving forward after this, after he shut everybody up, because pretty soon they'll be saying Norman was green, he wasn't quite ready. That's what's coming next. So if you guys want to say that, or if you start saying that, then all right, give me Pacquiao. All right, give me a money fight. Okay,
Yeah.
and then I think that if he stays at the end of his winky right jab and keep Pacquiao at bay, then he wins that fight. He has to make it boring, just like Winky did with Mosley. So, it's like, because Mosley was waiting to get off that shot. He could never get it off. And we saw what happened.
And I love that you brought up the Wink and Mosley fight because it's almost mirroring those two styles, right? You got a bouncy, twitchy Sugar Shane, and Pac has always been bouncy and twitchy, right? And you've got Wink with that deadly jab, and Dev's when he works behind the jab, he's almost unbeatable. He's almost unstoppable, and I love that comparison there. Because it's spot on.
Because if you lose that fight to Pacquiao, then you get to ride off if you want with a nice payday. If you win, you get to ride off at the top of the mountain. I don't care about them saying that Pacquiao is old and that sort of thing, but if you beat Pacquiao, you can ride off into the sunset because really there's nowhere left to go but up to 154, and then that can be a little treacherous because you got the Funduras up there, and we'll be waiting to see what Boots does, but he could ride off after the Pacquiao fight if that fight became a reality.
Right. Now you talk who can ride off after that?
Devin.
I'm talking about Devin riding off, yeah. Now, do you think he would do that at his age?
Yep. At his yes, that's another great point. At his age, with that type of money, living in Vegas, I'm sure that they could be able to live off that for the rest of his life with sound investments, him and his father, and keep it pushing. If that means open up a gym, train some up and coming fighters, use Devin Haney promotion to go seek some fighters, but that's my next for Devin. A pay fight, and chuckle. Deuces.
Why not? But the reason I say, and I agree with that. I think that's a great take, and I wouldn't be mad if he decided to go that route. The reason I said collect belts and be undisputed at 47 is just that because that's the put up or shut up in me. That's just like, what? Everybody keeps, doubting me. Well, then I'm going to show you.
I agree with that take too.
And it's, once again, I don't want to make it seem like, I'm jock riding there because I'm not. But I always like to root for an underdog who has proven themselves time and time again.
Or a person that's just been a fighter that's been bullied in the press unfairly. Like, no, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up to that. And then I'm going to stand with him, especially in victory. Like, if I stood with him in defeat, you can rest assured I'm going to be there standing in victory. So it's not like we riding this jock. We're opposing those who didn't want to see this day come.
Right. And, I'll do the same with Errol. If he wants to come back, I'm going to be right there front and center for him. Just the way I was when he was winning and stacking belts left and right. He just ran into a better man in Bud. That's it. And I don't think there's a man on earth fighting from 168 down that can handle Bud right now. I just don't.
Strong, and his power is too deceptive.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody's got anything for him. And I do hope that Dev, getting back to Dev, I hope that he does secure a big money fight with whomever it is. I hope he secures a really big payday before he gets out.
I think right now the biggest fight for him at 147 for payday is Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
My only concern is, and you alluded to it already, is that folks saying, well, Manny's old.
Yep. Yeah, but I'm just looking at the purse that Manny still brings, And then I don't know, like I've been trying to do research about that fight with him and Floyd. The rematch is really going to take place. But, that aside, I think that just for namesake, it's almost like Roy and Tyson fighting. They was doing it for a money grab. Or Tank and Paul fighting. Money grab. And probably staged. Allegedly it could be. Now, as far as like the Pacquiao and Dare fight, that wouldn't be. And win or lose, you'll get you a nice purse. Probably your biggest payday to date.
Yep.
That's my only concern.
Just looking at the purse that Manny still brings.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. Like I've been trying to do research about that fight with him and Floyd. The rematch is really going to take place. But that aside, I think that just for name's sake, it's almost like Roy and Tyson fight.
Mm-hmm.
They was doing it for a money grab.
Yeah, of course.
Tank and Paul fight, money grab.
Right.
And probably staged. Allegedly it could be.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like the Pacquiao and Dare fight, that wouldn't be. And win or lose, you'll get you a nice purse.
Yeah.
Probably your biggest payday to date.
Right. Now, you mentioned Mario Barrios. Who's another guy that has moved up and has secured one of the belts. He fought Pacquiao. Didn't look great against Pac. I don't know that he holds on to that belt much longer. I liked him at the lower weight class. When he started moving up, he just doesn't have the footwork and the fluidity in his game. From my vantage point, from what I see, he just doesn't seem like he has what it takes to be as successful at 47 as he was in the lower weight classes. And Pac, I think what it was with Pac is that he was in there with his idol or somebody that he looked up to, and he was afraid to really do something. And then when he was called on by his corner to, hey man, stop admiring the guy in front of you and really go after this guy.
Right.
He didn't have that extra gear to do that. So I think that's why I said, Dev, go get these straps, because it's not really like it's that difficult to do right now at 47.
Right.
No, I agree with that. My only setback with that would just be outside of Pacquiao, T.O. possibly, if they were to meet, he's not going to get a payday.
You're right. At 47.
At 47, look what Terrence had to do to go get a payday.
Man.
The fight with him and Earl, that was some good money, the most he'd ever made. But that's mainly because him and Earl did the deal themselves. And he wouldn't be in on negotiations. He knew that Earl needed him just as much as he needed Earl. And then, but to go get the fight that I'm talking about, Dev could get that kind of money, even though it wouldn't be equal to. But to get his money fight, Terrence had to go out 3 weight classes essentially to get it. Because if he fights and clears out 154, there's no money fight there. He had to go get Canelo. Canelo wasn't coming back down. And then the money fights are over. Now he'd just be fighting for more stripes on his uniform. That's it.
Yeah.
More carvings on his Mount Rushmore. Like, what y'all want to carve it out a little more? Get more precise with it? Hey, that's what we gonna do now. So the only thing left to do is rematch him again. But in a video I made before, Canelo better be lucky they didn't do a draw, because I think in a rematch from that first fight, he would get knocked out.
Yeah. There's nothing that Canelo, and all respect to Canelo and his team, but there's nothing that he can do in the second one. I didn't see anyway in the first fight that makes me believe that he can even get close to winning a rematch against Bud. He did nothing that showed me that he was capable of potentially stopping or winning a decision. He didn't hurt Bud, not once. And he's supposed to be the bigger guy with a bigger punching power and, have all this experience and yada, yada, yada. And he's an all-time great. I will give that to him.
Yep.
but he just doesn't have anything for Bud. And that doesn't lessen him. It just shows how great Bud is.
That's all, man.
That's all it does. And I think that, once again, not saying that Dev is an all-time great, but I just think that right now, the way the division is, there aren't many guys outside of Tio, because he's already went through the boogeyman. I don't see a lot of guys that offer a lot to Dev just because of his boxing skills, his IQ, his experience, the tutelage that he's had. You mentioned some names at the top of our show here that have been molding and shaping and really guiding this young man along from a young age. I don't see anybody that has anything for him. So to your point, why not go ahead and take a money fight and see what happens and get that bag and then, get out of here.
Yeah, and chuck the deuces to the people who are not going to give him credit either way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be listening out to see what they're going to be saying, how they're going to try to change the narrative if they do. But I think the narrative is going to be he was green.
Yeah. Well, I just, like I said, until someone proves me wrong, I don't think anybody has anything for Dev. And at 47, to clarify, at 47, and I can't wait to see him come back and prove that this wasn't a fluke, that it wasn't because Norman was green, but that Dev is legit.
He's legit.
What
else does he have to do?
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on Dev the Dream and his fight. Before we get you out of here, you had mentioned, Tank and Paul. Do you think that there is, does Paul and Joshua really have legs? Like, is that really happening?
Yeah, no, it's happening, but it could very well do what happened to Thurman and Fundora. They have to stack it.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't watched much on it because I'm not interested. I wasn't interested. I know we were supposed to do a take on Tank and Paul. Yeah. You were really going to be driving the car on that one. I was going to be riding shotgun because I didn't support it. Didn't even, wasn't even interested in watching it. And then we saw what happened. And it's the same for the Joshua one. Like, they offered Joshua some money, short training, come out, do it. You should be able to beat him. And Joshua could care less either way, I think. So it's one of those fights that I probably won't watch. If I'm on YouTube, I'll watch the highlights. Yeah. But, that's about all I have to say on the Joshua and Paul fight if it's actually happening.
And it doesn't do anything for Joshua in terms of his
boxing.
For boxing, either way, right? It doesn't do anything for Joshua or boxing. It especially doesn't do anything for him in terms of his trajectory of trying to get back into belt contention.
Right.
At all. And
right.
And if it's an 8-round fight, I think is what they're talking about, doing 8 rounds. I mean, dude, if you can't get Jake Paul out of there in the first to second round, then you don't even need to be considered, for any type of belt.
I think that this fight only works if it's somebody like Deontay Wilder, where it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
And, you coming in swinging.
Yeah.
It's a chance Deontay could get caught, you know what I mean? And we know what happened when he get caught, but it's a chance where he can knock it. That sort of, it's almost like a circus. I hate to say it, but it would be a circus of a fight.
But it is. It is a circus. It's a circus that everybody pays, their money for the ticket to go see, because for whatever reason, it ends up being must-see TV. And we know it's fixed. We know it's not real. We know it going in, but we participate because the circus came to town. And we are, and we long for, we've become so addicted to, we just got to have something every weekend to watch, right? Combat sports wise. That, well, if Jake Paul's doing something, he's knocked out some UFC guys who were over the hill and not real boxers. And he fought and beat Chavez Jr., who hasn't been Chavez Jr. for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, just living off his father's name.
Yeah. The one, if you want to call Tommy an actual boxer that he fought, he lost to. So, but I do think you were onto something there. I do think I would actually watch Wilder get in there with Paul. But
I would watch that. I would have commentary on it. I'd be able to talk about it right now, but Joshua and Paul, nah.
It's just not worth it. But I just didn't know if you had heard any more developments on it because you are in the know and you know a lot of those things. I just didn't know if you had heard anything from your contacts and resources, if that thing was actually real and about to take place, or if it was just more chatter on the internet.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my contacts the other day, and we breezed right by it. I could tell that he wasn't interested in talking about it, so I didn't make a pit stop at it. We just drove right on. Yeah, we just drove right on by it. It was like, oh, there's that store that everybody's talking about right there.
Yeah, nothing in there for me. Yeah, I got you, man. If you don't have anything else, we can close and wrap this up. We'll do one. Let's do our next one on Benavidez, because I want to give Benavidez his props.
Oh yes, let's do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Break coming up for our school, the Thanksgiving break.
That's right.
Right, so we better make something happen. Yeah, this week on the Benavidez. Yeah, I like to give Benavidez his due too.
Yeah, man. And Bam Rodriguez.
And Bam, yep. Yeah. You guys make sure to tune in. And for our next episode, we're going to be covering Bam Rodriguez. We're going to be covering David Benavidez, talking about Abdullah Mason. Woo! Yes. We're going to have it lined up. So you guys make sure you turn in, subscribe, like the channel. We are in our infant stages here, but we're aiming to build and grow and bring you guys some non-biased content. We appreciate the support. Again, I'm co-host Reggie Lewis, Turnbuckle Boxing, with co-host Brandon Jones, Turnbuckle Boxing, and we thank you for taking time out to stop by.
Yep, appreciate it. Peace.
Peace.